All right, so hello and welcome to the first installment of Quick Reach's monthly webinar. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you learned something new today. So for this webinar, we will focus on digital transformation, and more specifically, how to drive growth and profitability through design thinking-led digital transformation. So I will be your host for the day. My name is Ina, and a bit of background about myself. So I am an anthropologist that has been doing user experience and digital transformation consulting since 2015. Now, a quick guide on our interface. On the right-hand side, you'll be able to see our chat box. So you can send a message to us anytime that if you can't hear us or if you have questions, and we'll get back to you during our Q&A portion. We'll also have some polls. We'll also be asking you some questions, so you can also interact with us through that. So our agenda for the day would be three things. So the first thing that we'll discuss would be successful digital transformation. What are the challenges and obstacles to a successful digital transformation journey? Number two, we'll be talking about design thinking as well as mapping customer experiences and how to be more customer-centric through design thinking. Lastly, we'll also discuss a bit about Quick Reach and how to create experiences through Quick Reach. So by the end of the webinar, these are our three objectives. The first would be to give a clear understanding on what digital transformation or what DX truly means and what is the true focus of DX. Number two would be to help digital transformation officers or DXOs plan out a full transformation journey for their organizations and companies or enterprises. And lastly, if there are CXOs listening, to provide CXOs a better perspective on how to plan, when to plan, and how to oversee DX initiatives. So our speaker for the day would be Siddharth Badera. He has 10 years of work experience managing digital transformation across different geographies such as Middle East, India, China, and Southeast Asia. He's also led digital innovation initiatives for various industries such as telecom, healthcare, logistics, and internet. So turning it over to Siddharth.
Thank you so much, Ina. Before we can really begin talking more about digital transformation, there is a quick poll I'd like you to answer. I mean, if you can just take out a few seconds and tell us whether, is there any progress? Does your organization currently have any digital transformation efforts which are presently going on? So you can either click on yes or no, and we'll instantly get to know of the results. And once we have the results, which we'll have a clearer picture as to how we might want to go ahead. So maybe another couple of seconds before we end the poll. Perfect. So absolutely, the results are here in front of us. We understand that almost 67% of the people who are listening to this webinar have some kind of digital transformation initiatives which are presently undergoing in their company. That is a great initiative, and that is a great perspective to begin with, because there is a lot of misconception around digital transformation. So we'd really like to explore what really is digital transformation. And when we talk about digital transformation, we often talk about, say, a mobile application, or some people say cloud or artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic process automation. You often hear the word agile that comes into play when you talk about digital transformation, or a bunch of other technical jargons. But that's not really what digital transformation is. I mean, that's really how people confuse the term digital transformation, and they really believe that digital transformation is all about technology. In fact, digital transformation is really it's a journey, and it's a set of small iterative experiments, ongoing projects, continuously, where people are collaborating and experimenting in order to provide value, and perhaps at some level delight the customer into having experiences which are meaningful for them. It could be potentially to your paying customers. It could also be to your partners and suppliers, or even digital transformation could mean that you enhance the existing processes for the employees of the company or internal stakeholders. And this is what really we are trying to attempt with QuickReach, and we'll come to QuickReach later on in the third part of our of this webinar. But before we still talking about digital transformation, and we spoke about how digital transformation is confused with the fact that it's all about technology, when actually there are 5 different pillars about digital transformation, and it really is on your screens right now. It's the first and the most important pillar, you can say, is the strategy behind implementing that technology, or the strategy behind implementing any digital initiative. The second is the digital experience, which you would want to provide to the customer. Core systems, data, and cybersecurity are other important pillars. And what we will do in the next couple of minutes is quickly walk through certain all of these pillars, and we'll understand how each of them has an important part to play. So the first pillar we're going to talk about is strategy. And when we really talk about digitally transforming your company, or digitally transforming the operations within your company, we really have to step back and strategize. And we have to understand that it's not just having a website or an app or a chatbot or any other technology solution which you could potentially use and for your customer or for your internal supplier or vendor, and then you can say that you're digitally transformed. You really have to rethink. You have to understand that where are we right now as a business? What are we doing best? And how do our current customers have emerging needs and pains that could potentially be addressed through technology? When we talk about digital experience, there are a couple of things that our customers want from us. They want an responsive, engaging, and a proactive team which addresses their needs. And they don't really care whether it's a chatbot which is answering their questions, but they would want information at their fingertips very conveniently. In fact, a poor online customer experience will actually prevent 3 out of 5 customers from making future purchases from a particular brand, and that could well be your brand. So the real question here is, step back and understand, how is your digital experience now? How easy is it for your customers to reach out to you, and how fast do their inquiries or problems get solved? If there are issues when a customer has actually reached out to you over certain products or services he might not have been satisfied with, were you able to resolve it amicably? If the answer is yes, then you're probably doing a good job with your digital transformation solutions. A lot of issues with core systems is when people complain of information overload. When you want to retrieve data, there are often challenges that, any data due to legacy systems, the retrieval is either too tedious or too complex. And there are lack of robust core systems, which is actually prohibiting your digital transformation initiatives. And that's really what the point he tries to address, that without a strong and a robust core system, the business cannot really utilize any aspect of of the data which it wants to use to make better decisions. Every day, you have a lot of customers who engage with your brand in different parts, and and it is because of this you have a lot of data with yourself, and to be able to effectively use that data is where the trick really lies. So how do you utilize and build a cohesive narrative that is understood across the board? And you would all agree that data, when it's kept cleaned up and analyzed properly, is an asset which all businesses should utilize. And finally, not spending too much time on the pillars, I'd like to quickly touch through cybersecurity. We've all realized in the recent past we've all seen and understood the importance of cybersecurity, and how, at times it erodes trust from your customers or any other stakeholders. Even governments try and look through your operations carefully if you've had a breach of data in a recent time. And they're often, governments have come in with GDPR and NDPA and other policies in place which will help you protect your data. Moving on. Yes. They should ensure that, like I mentioned, all there are clear policies and procedures that govern a data usage or access. So a quick recap: we kind of started with talking about how digital transformation is really misunderstood. It's not really any technology solution, but it's really a combination of 5 pillars. And moving on, we'd like to quickly run you through 3 important ingredients which we believe are key for your digital transformation. Gaining quick wins through smaller projects, investing in tools and methods that would eventually promote agility, and I'll talk about agile later on. And most importantly, having strong core technology and strong core people within your team. Starting with gaining quick wins through smaller projects. And when we talk about the importance of quick wins, we realize that digital transformation is a very long and an arduous journey. It's not something that you come up with a plan, allocate some budget, and get some resources to get this resolved. So really, when you're looking at having a buy-in from the senior management, you've got to show some kind of a return on any investment which they're making. And this really happens when you have quick wins and when you have small projects which you can showcase to senior management or board, and which could actually get you the next set of funds in place, which will eventually have long-term effects on digital transformation. What you should be ideally doing is really looking at a Pareto principle. I'm not sure whether people know about it. It's about the 80-20 rule, saying that 80% of the issues are caused by 20% of the pain points, and you really have to pick that one pain point which, when addressed, strategically, eases a chunk of the problems which you're facing. Moving on, we've all heard of Agile, and we've all heard how important Agile transformation is when you're looking at digital transformation processes. So what really is Agile? It's really an iterative loop where you kind of collaborate with customers, you kind of collaborate with people who will be using this solution, and you have shorter stints and you iterate faster to be able to come up with a solution which is much more acceptable, which is loved and liked, and at some point delights the customer as well. And eventually, having a strong technology team and having people who really understand digital transformation, perhaps at a strategic level, is also important, because you would need people to champion this throughout the course of your digital transformation journey. So, like I said, it's all about bringing people who are engaged, who are willing to collaborate and innovate, and there has to be someone who champions the digital transformation initiatives within the organization, who understands not just the strategic aspects of how this is going to impact the customer, but also who's able to license effectively with the technology people, with people who are into tech, and be able to effectively communicate the transition between both tech and business. So we've quickly discussed. I wouldn't take too much of the time because I understand we're running out of time, but we've quickly touched on what digital transformation is not. It's definitely not just technology. It's actually a combination of 5 pillars. And really, when we are looking at kickstarting your digital transformation initiatives, where should we start with, and how do we get ahead with the journey? I'd like to call on Ina, my colleague, who would be actually taking you through the how aspect of digital transformation. We'll be actually talking about design thinking and the importance of design thinking in your digital transformation journey. So thank you so much, and over to Ina.